What is up, everyone? Today we're diving into something huge, a hidden crisis affecting millions of everyday Americans. We're peeling back the curtain on the top 10 states literally collapsing the fastest as we head into 2025. We've crunched the numbers and what we found is absolutely insane. This is a wake-up call, guys. We're going to break it all down for you, state by state. You're going to want to see which states made this unfortunate list. This countdown is starting right now. Let's get into it. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have the state of Illinois, land of Lincoln, Chicago's amazing skyline, deep dish pizza. Beneath the surface, Illinois is facing some gigantic problems, a perfect storm of economic decline. The cracks are starting to show, turning into massive craters. Businesses are finding it tougher to thrive, and some are packing up and leaving altogether. When businesses leave or downsize, jobs disappear. Illinois has been experiencing a significant population loss, a steady stream of residents looking for better opportunities elsewhere. Then there's the debt. We're talking about one of the most indebted states in the entire country. It's billions upon billions of dollars in unfunded pension liabilities and other debts, often leading to higher taxes, which makes more people want to leave. So what does all this debt and economic struggle actually mean for the average person living in Illinois? Well, it means a constant strain on public services. Think about things like road maintenance, funding for schools, public safety. All of these can suffer when a state is buried under a mountain of debt. It becomes a vicious cycle. The state needs money, so it might raise taxes, but higher taxes can drive more businesses and residents away, further shrinking the tax base. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket, and the leaks just keep getting bigger. This financial mismanagement has real-world consequences for the quality of life. And that population loss we talked about, it's not just numbers on a chart, it's hollowing out communities. Imagine neighborhoods with more and more empty houses, schools struggling with declining enrollment, and local businesses losing their customer base. It creates a sense of decline and uncertainty that can be really demoralizing for those who stay. When a state is losing more people than it's gaining, it's a clear sign that something is fundamentally wrong. It's a vote of no confidence. And it makes it even harder for Illinois to attract new investment and talent to turn things around. It's a massive challenge, a true brain drain. For businesses that do try to stick it out, or for entrepreneurs thinking of starting something new, the climate in Illinois can feel incredibly challenging. High taxes, burdensome regulations, and economic uncertainty don't exactly scream, "Come set up shop here." This makes it difficult for the state to foster the kind of dynamic, growing economy that creates jobs and opportunities. Instead of being a hub of innovation and growth, there's a real risk of stagnation, of falling behind other states that are more business-friendly. It's a tough sell to convince companies to invest when the outlook seems so bleak for so many. So the big question is, can Illinois actually bounce back from this? It's a monumental task, guys. We're talking about deep-seated structural problems that have been building for decades. It would take some serious political will, tough choices, and a real commitment to fiscal responsibility to even begin to turn the ship around. Without major reforms, it's hard to see how Illinois breaks out of this downward spiral. It's a stark warning for other states and a really tough reality for the millions of people who call Illinois home. It really is a tough situation. California, the Golden State, home to Hollywood and Silicon Valley. Beautiful beaches, but for many, the California dream is now a nightmare. Sky-high housing costs are pushing people to the brink, with many spending over half their income on rent. This has led to a staggering homelessness epidemic, a humanitarian crisis in one of the wealthiest places on Earth. Restrictive zoning, NIMBYism, and environmental regulations have created a perfect storm, squeezing ordinary people out. It's a systemic failure. With the cost of living, especially housing, being so incredibly high and other challenges like high taxes and a perception of declining quality of life in some areas, we're seeing something unprecedented, a California exodus. For the first time in its history, more people are leaving California than moving in. Think about that. The state that was once the ultimate destination, the place everyone wanted to be, is now seeing its own residents pack up and head for the exits in massive numbers. It's a huge shift, and it tells you just how tough things have become for everyday folks. Who's leaving? It's a mix of people. Middle-class families who can no longer afford to raise their kids there. Young professionals who see better opportunities and a lower cost of living in states like Texas, Arizona, or Nevada. Even some businesses are relocating, taking jobs and investment with them. They're seeking relief from the financial pressures. a chance to actually build savings, buy a home, and have a less stressful life. It's not that they don't love California, it's that California, for many, has become unlivable. It's a tough choice, leaving behind friends, family, and familiar surroundings. The impact of this outmigration is significant. When people leave, especially working-age people and taxpayers, it shrinks the state's revenue base. This puts even more pressure on state and local budgets, potentially leading to cuts in services or further tax hikes for those who remain, which can then, you guessed it, encourage even more people to leave. It's another one of those vicious cycles. It also means a loss of talent, a loss of entrepreneurial energy, and a hollowing out of the middle class, which is the backbone of any healthy economy and society. So, what's the future hold for the Golden State? Can California solve these colossal problems? It's a massive, massive challenge. Addressing the housing crisis would require a monumental shift in policy and a willingness to confront some very entrenched interests. Tackling homelessness needs more than just temporary fixes. It requires comprehensive solutions for housing, mental health, and addiction services. Without fundamental changes, it's hard to see how California reverses this trend of becoming a state of haves and have-nots, a place where the dream is increasingly out of reach. It's a critical moment for California. All right, guys, next up we've got New York, the Empire State, home of the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, and apparently a whole lot of problems stacking up. It seems like more and more people are dreaming of leaving. Is facing a crisis this big. First off, let's talk about urban decay. We're talking about buildings literally crumbling, and then bam! The taxes hit you. New York has some of the highest taxes in the entire country, no joke. Uncle New York is right there to take a massive slice of the pie. This brings us to the big one. People are leaving. They're loading up U-Hauls and saying, "See ya," to New York. We're talking hundreds of thousands of people looking for greener pastures, lower cost of living, and maybe just a little less stress. Why are so many people leaving New York? Sky-high rents, property taxes, and the cost of living make it daunting for families. People seek better schools, safer neighborhoods, and peace. Rising crime and urban decay erode security. Maria, a Brooklyn bakery owner for 20 years, had to close due to rising rents and taxes. She's moving to North Carolina to start over. New York needs bold ideas to reverse these trends. Innovation and support are crucial to avoid decline. We're heading to Louisiana, the land of jazz and amazing food, but also serious challenges. Beneath the vibrant culture lies a struggle against crumbling infrastructure, deep-rooted poverty, and natural disasters. Roads and bridges are falling apart, making daily travel a danger. Louisiana consistently ranks as one of the poorest states, affecting health, education, and overall well-being. Infrastructure problems worsen poverty, limiting access to jobs and essential services. Louisiana is ground zero for natural disasters. Hurricanes, floods, coastal erosion, they get hit hard, and they get hit often. We've all seen the devastating images on the news, but it's hard to truly grasp the impact unless you're there. These aren't just storms. They're life-altering events that can wipe out homes, businesses, and entire communities. The recovery process is often slow, painful, and underfunded. With climate change making these storms more frequent and intense, it's a relentless cycle. This constant threat shapes life in Louisiana in ways people in other states can barely imagine. They need real investment, real solutions, and a real commitment to help them not just survive, but thrive. We're heading into the Appalachian Mountains to West Virginia, known for its incredible natural beauty. But the state faces challenges: the decline of its coal industry, a devastating public health crisis with the highest opioid overdose death rate in the country, and a shrinking population as young people seek opportunities elsewhere. It's a tough story for the strong, proud people of West Virginia, as coal jobs disappear and addiction hollows out communities. This brain drain makes it harder to recover, a slow-motion hollowing out of a once-proud state. Let's examine how job losses and the opioid crisis are impacting families in West Virginia. Consider a coal miner losing their job. Unemployment and the opioid crisis have torn families apart. Grandparents are raising grandchildren due to addiction. It's a crisis touching almost every family, leaving a feeling of being left behind. The help needed often feels inadequate. Communities feel helpless. It's a heavy weight on the state. They need investments, solutions, and a sustained effort to heal. The path forward requires compassion and hope. Let's dive into number 6, Detroit. For decades, Detroit was the Motor City, the heart of American innovation. Cars made here changed the entire world. But then things changed. Global competition heated up, and automation took jobs. The factories began to quiet down. Hundreds of thousands of jobs vanished. People had to leave to find work. Now Detroit is fighting back with new development and revitalization efforts, but the scars are deep, a sobering look at industry collapse. Michigan's water crisis, most famously in Flint, shocked the nation. In 2014, to save money, Flint switched its water source. The corrosive water wasn't treated properly, leaching lead into homes. This complete betrayal of public trust had devastating consequences. Flint isn't isolated. Michigan faces widespread issues with aging infrastructure. Despite this, the resilience of Flint's people is inspiring. They demanded action and fought for their right to clean water. It's a story of strength in the face of unimaginable adversity. Number 7 takes us to New Jersey. The Garden State grapples with incredibly high taxes. We're talking about some of the highest property taxes in the country. It's like the state is constantly reaching into your pocket, making it tough for families to get ahead. Small businesses struggle, and even corporations think twice about staying. This leads to fewer jobs and economic stagnation. The high taxes are due to state spending and underfunded public employee pensions. Residents are frustrated, feeling like they're working harder but not getting anywhere. With all those financial pressures we just talked about, it's probably no surprise that a lot of people are saying enough is enough and packing their bags. There's a very real trend of people moving out of New Jersey. They're heading for states with a lower cost of living, lower taxes, and maybe a bit more breathing room financially. You hear stories all the time. Families cashing out, retirees looking for a more affordable place to spend their golden years, young professionals seeking opportunities where their paycheck goes further. It's a significant demographic shift, and it's hollowing out the state in some ways. This outmigration, this exodus, has a real impact on the communities left behind. When people leave, especially working-age families, school enrollments can decline, leading to school closures or consolidations. Local businesses lose customers, and the tax base shrinks, which can, ironically, put even more pressure on the remaining residents. It creates a cycle that's hard to break. You start seeing neighborhoods change, not always for the better, as the vibrancy that comes with a growing population begins to fade. It's a slow drain that can change the entire character of a town or city. It's pretty concerning, to be honest. And speaking of local businesses, the sight of empty storefronts is becoming way too common in many parts of New Jersey. Once bustling downtowns and shopping centers now have 4 lease signs gathering dust in the windows. These aren't just statistics, guys. These are people's dreams. Businesses that families poured their hearts and souls into, now gone. Each closure means lost jobs, lost services for the community, and another blow to local morale. It contributes to that feeling of decline, that sense that things aren't what they used to be, and it makes you wonder what the future holds for these commercial areas. For the folks who choose to stay or who can't afford to leave, it can be tough watching their state go through these changes. There's an emotional toll. You see your neighbors move away, your favorite local shop close down, and you hear the constant talk about high taxes and people leaving. It can create a sense of uncertainty and even a little bit of hopelessness. New Jersey has so much potential, but these challenges are real and deeply felt by the people who live there every single day. They deserve better, and hopefully solutions can be found before it's too late. At number 8, we're heading to Ohio, once a titan of American industry. For generations, Ohio was a manufacturing powerhouse, providing good jobs for millions. But deindustrialization hit hard. Factories downsized, then closed. Jobs moved overseas or were lost to automation, leading to economic stagnation. Wage growth is sluggish, and many feel left behind. Young people leave for opportunities elsewhere, compounding the challenges. It's a dilemma impacting communities and worrying families. One of the most significant demographic challenges Ohio faces is an aging population. As younger people move out in search of opportunities, and as birth rates decline, the average age of Ohioans is steadily increasing. This isn't just a statistic, it has real-world consequences. An older population means a smaller workforce to support a growing number of retirees. It puts a strain on healthcare systems, social services, and state budgets. It also means fewer consumers and entrepreneurs to drive economic growth from within. It's a demographic shift that many states are facing, but it's particularly acute in places like Ohio. The communities with a higher proportion of retirees and fewer working-age residents face unique struggles. There might be fewer volunteers for community initiatives, challenges in funding local schools if the tax base is shrinking, and a general sense that the dynamism of youth is fading. It can be harder to attract new businesses to areas where the workforce is older and potentially less skilled in emerging technologies. This isn't to say older residents don't contribute. They absolutely do, with wisdom and experience, but a balanced age demographic is generally healthier for long-term economic vitality. It's a delicate balance that's out of whack. We've talked about job losses in traditional sectors like manufacturing, and a huge part of the problem is the difficulty of retraining that workforce for the jobs of the future. The skills needed in a modern tech company or an advanced manufacturing plant are very different from those needed on an old-school assembly line. While there are efforts to provide job training and upskilling programs, it's a massive undertaking. People who have spent their lives in one industry can find it incredibly challenging to pivot to something entirely new, especially later in their careers. It's a human challenge as much as an economic one, but it's not all doom and gloom. Ohio is actively working to revitalize its economy. There are significant investments being made in sectors like technology, particularly in cities like Columbus, which is becoming a bit of a tech hub. Healthcare and research institutions are also major employers and drivers of innovation. There's a push towards advanced manufacturing, trying to leverage that industrial heritage with new technologies. However, the road to a full economic recovery and transformation is long and filled with obstacles. It requires sustained effort, smart policies, and a bit of luck. But Ohioans are resilient, and they're not giving up on their state. All right, guys, coming in at number 9, we've got Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. Pennsylvania was once the heavyweight champion of industry, but the story takes a sharp turn. Steel and coal industries took a massive hit. Job losses devastated communities. This leads us to shrinking towns. It's like stepping into a ghost story. Schools are now eerily silent. Young people are packing their bags and heading elsewhere. It's a heartbreaking hollowing out of communities. It's an emotional gut punch. How do you keep hope alive when everything around you seems to be crumbling? Pennsylvania faces serious infrastructure problems. Roads, bridges, and water systems are aging, creating safety concerns. Crumbling infrastructure deters new businesses, impacting job growth. Fewer jobs mean fewer people and less tax money to fix infrastructure. Repairs require billions, but the tax base is shrinking. There are no easy answers. Communities must reinvent themselves to thrive. It will take innovation, investment, and community spirit. The future hangs in the balance. All right, buckle up, because for our 10th and final state on this list, we're heading way, way north to Alaska, the last frontier. When you think of Alaska, you probably picture insane mountain ranges and vast untouched wilderness. And yeah, it's undeniably beautiful and wild, but living there, the reality beyond those postcard views is a daily life defined by some pretty intense isolation. We're talking about communities where the only way in or out is by plane or boat, sometimes for months on end. And on top of that, the cost of living in Alaska is sky high. Imagine dealing with winters where the sun barely shows its face for months. It's a lifestyle that demands resilience, resourcefulness, and a willingness to endure conditions that would make most people tap out in a week. Alaska is dealing with population decline. People are leaving. A big reason is the lack of diverse job opportunities, especially for young people. This outmigration has a real impact on the communities left behind. And we have to remember the unique situation for Alaska Native communities within all of this. How do these changes impact their way of life? So, the big question for Alaska is, how do you convince people to build a life there? It's a massive challenge. What kind of community support would it take to reverse the population decline? These aren't just statistics. Behind these issues are real people and communities impacted every day. We want to hear from you. What are you seeing in your state? Jump into the comments and share your stories. Let's connect and discuss what's really going on across the country. These are things communities everywhere are grappling with. How can we work together to find solutions? Please subscribe. See you in the next one.